Hisuian Arcanine has been the most successful Hisuian Pokemon in the competitive doubles scene. Arcanine's Kanto form has always been solid in doubles, with access to Intimidate, one of the best abilities, lowering the attack of both opponents, and a decent move pool for doubles, with options like Snarl, which also hits both opponents, lowering both of their special attack stats, Will-O-Wisp, which is nice utility, extreme speed, always good to pick off low health enemies, and just big fire stab is never bad. But as soon as Hisuian Arcanine came out, it proved to be the superior dog, largely because of its access to Stab Rock Slide, another spread move. Hits both opponents, has a 30% flinch chance, and on top of this, an Intimidate, powerful Choice Band boosted extreme speed. This is just a really straightforward, powerful doubles Pokemon. Terrablast Fairy is also cool because you can become resistant to the incoming fighting type hits that would otherwise threaten you, and take out enemies like Urshifu and Iron Hands. Shout out to the King Villager who built this particular VGC team I'm showing off right now. But unfortunately, in the world of competitive singles, this fella has not had as much success. In the singles environment, there are a lot of roadblocks for this guy. Stealth Rock is one of the most common moves in the game, meaning that Arcanine's rock weakness is a huge downside. It can run heavy duty boots, but that's basically taking away its item slot from more offensively useful items such as Choice Band or maybe Life Orb. If it chooses to run these, it's going to have to contend with Stealth Rock. It's a terrible gambit. Intimidate is much less impactful in singles than it is in doubles on a Pokemon with this kind of defensive typing. In singles, Rock Head is the preferred choice on this because it has these high power recoil moves, and being able to ignore the recoil with Rock Head is really significant. But despite the significant threat of these powerful stab recoil moves, it just has a poor defensive typing for the metagame. Water and ground types are common in every single generation of competitive singles, so weaknesses to those types, especially times 4 weaknesses, are really terrible. This is one of the worst type combinations in the game for singles, in fact. It's really bad. Weaknesses to fighting and rock as well also don't help. There's a common offensive types. So that's why it's ranked in UU and Gen 9. It's just not at that power level to see much usage in the OU form. However, folks, take a look at this. You may glance at this team briefly and think that maybe this player believed they were playing doubles by mistake, with Iron Hands and Hisuian Arcanine making an appearance. But you'd be wrong, folks. This is a singles team, an OU team, that achieved an impressive rank of number 4 on the ladder. Not bad with Hisuian Arcanine. Despite this Pokemon's shortcomings, the player Savouras saw potential in this forgotten threat and decided to build this team around its strengths. Choice Band Arcanine and Choice Specs Greninja actually form a pretty nice offensive core when you think about it. They both attack on different sides, Arcanine being physical, Greninja being special, and Greninja can threaten all of the things that Arcanine can't. It hits the ground types that Arcanine hates. Dark is a great neutral stab type, and it poses a big threat to all the physical walls that give Arcanine problems. And Arcanine's big stab moves threaten all the things Greninja hates, like Scolari and Slowking, Assault Vest Pokemon, and most dark resistant Pokemon like Fairy types and enemy dark types. Rock Blast is here to be able to counter Ribombee leads. The multi-hit will break their Focus Sash and then KO them. Corviknight makes a lot of sense here for support. A very solid Pokemon against the ground types that Arcanine hates, especially Great Tusk, Landorus Therian, those common guys. And it can defog away the Stealth Rocks that threaten Arcanine too. U-turn also allows you nice entry points into Arcanine and Greninja to keep your offensive game plan moving. Similar idea here with Slowking Galar, another pivot with chilly reception that can get Arcanine and Greninja on the field, and a nice wall on the special side of things as well. And Landorus Therian is yet another pivot supporting these threats. Stealth Rock Setter and bulky ground type. Also another Pokemon pretty solid against Great Tusk. And folks, Iron Hands being on a singles team is also a little bit unusual. This is another Pokemon that's amazing in doubles, not so great in singles. This guy's probably the king of doubles right now, to be honest. Its usage is through the roof. Mostly because it's just really bulky, has really amazing stats, and access to Fake Out, which in doubles is an amazing move for disrupting the enemy and allowing you to support your teammate to attack something specific. It's kind of like a stun or a CC effect in other competitive games. You can just fake out an enemy and they can't touch you at all. Really, really useful in doubles specifically, especially when you have a teammate to actually follow up on that CC. In singles, Fake Out is not as useful because there's only one target to disrupt, and since you're spending your turn using Fake Out, you have no way to really take advantage of that. Fake Out is mostly used to disrupt the enemy temporarily and activate like Mega Forms. Mega Sableye used to do that back in Gen 7. And sometimes it's used just for a bit of chip damage, like Mega Medicham used to do that also in Gen 6 and 7. Sometimes the free priority in chip damage is nice, but it's not even close to how good it is in doubles. VGC is also a faster paced format, so a bulky guy that can take hits in the short term and dish out a lot of damage is more valuable in that kind of format versus singles, where games can go a bit longer, and Iron Hands is a bit harder to fit in OU where it gets worn down. Also doesn't help that it's ground weak. And yet here he is on this singles team achieving results, using Fake Out by the way, kind of using a VGC looking set almost, Assault Vest with Fake Out, Wild Charge and Coverage. And much like how it's used in VGC, operating as a short-term tank with a lot of attacks is exactly what this team wants and needs. Offensive water types like Enemy Greninja and Manaphy could give you a lot of problems, but because you are a Assault Vest tank with 1 million HP and also Stab Electric move, you are really strong against those threats. You also need something that's tanky against ghost types, because Slowking Galar as the sole special wall has problems in that department. This thing can come in pretty solidly against Goldango and Dragapult and just threaten them directly. I don't know the exact reason for using Fake Out here, but I'm sure it's useful to just have a priority option in this metagame. Helps you get that little bit of chip damage to put stuff in range, helps you break like Dragonite multiscale, that's useful. Iron Hands is quite nice against Hisuian and Samurott too, which at a glance you might notice is a pretty bad matchup. Hisuian Samurott plus Goldango would give this team a lot of issues, but this resists Dark, it can just KO it directly. Fake Out even disrupts the Focus Sash sets if they're using that. This team looks kind of insane, it almost looks flimsy and easy to take advantage of, but the results don't lie. This team has achieved impressive accolades. And it's made me rethink perhaps Hisuian Arcanine is not bad in this metagame. It's kind of filling the gap that Ogerpon Hearthflame once filled. There aren't that many other physical fire type wall breakers like this. Ceruledge is more of a setup sweeper, Cinderace more of a fast pivot. Arcanine Hisui is probably still the best option just as a wall breaker to do big damage. I do feel like this team might struggle a bit against those hazard stacking teams and just stealth rock in general, but it has enough offensive firepower to maybe outpace those teams and just out-offense them as they're spending all this time setting up spikes trying to maintain their momentum. You're just hitting them too much and they can't handle that. Maybe that's the way to actually beat that. Who knows? Now, a lot of these Smogon threads with these team pastes post replays as demonstrations of how the team works, but unfortunately, as you can see on the screen here, this is terrible news. Pokemon Showdown has lost 3 years worth of replays. They corrupted the database of replays and the only backup was back in 2020. So 2020 to 2023, no replays at all. All the SPL tournaments, all the example replays in these resource threads are just gone to time like tears in rain. Quite a tragedy, folks. But fortunately for us folks, in this particular team thread, the team builder chose to post a YouTube video of the team in action rather than example replays, which have not been lost to time. The YouTube servers are up and running. If you'd like to see this team in action from the creator himself with live commentary of all the decision making, very useful if you want to learn how to use the team. I'm going to link this in the description and the pinned comment. Check it out. And this fella has a lot of Pokemon Showdown content if you want to watch high ladder gameplay. And of course, I'll link the team paste and the Smogon thread down below as well. These two Pokemon, Arcanine and Iron Hands, thrive in the faster paced environment of VGC, and I think the fact that they're seeing such success in Gen 9 OU right now is emblematic of the fast pace of the current metagame in singles. Give the team a go if you want to try something fresh and unique. And thank you for watching, folks.
KO by 1 hit! It scattered spikes!
The money got different, cause of what I'm spending.